Hi there, my name is Chris DeBoard and I am one of the judges. This past weekend at Southern National Motorsports Park was the first round of the Catch My Drift series at this track. It is a 4-round series with over $50,000 in prize money and prizes to be given out over the course of this season. So one of the biggest things is being able to understand what is competitive drifting. Simply put, it is two cars on track at one time going through a designated course and then alternating positions and then judging both of their scoreable runs. Now, unlike most other competitive motorsports, this is not based on speed or time to be able to get a higher or lower place. This course is made up of both inner and outer zones, also known as inner clips or possibly touch and goes. The purpose of the outer zones is to have the driver put the rear tires within that outer zone without exceeding the outside boundary or going too shallow and being not in the zone with their tires the inside boundary. The purpose of the touch and go is to be able to put the rear portion of the car in that zone for a brief moment and then to be able to get back on line of the course. And for an inner clip, the purpose is to be able to put the front section of your car or tire as close proximity to the inner clip as possible. For qualifying, one car does go out at a time, and they are given 2 chances to qualify to be a part of the top 32 bracket. We want to be able to make sure that the line, angle, fluidity, and commitment is judged. This is on a 100-point system, and the breakdown is as follows. Line is given 30 points. Angle is given 30 points. Fluidity and commitment are both given 20 points apiece to be able to get a possible 100-point run. As you can assume, 100 is a perfect run, where drivers can be able to get deductions for either not putting their car in the zone, possibly being at low angle when they're going through the course, or given a 0 if the car does straighten, come out of drift for any reason, be able to loop itself, as we call it, or spin out, or go completely off track with a minimum of 2 tires off track. These are all of the things that can be able to give a person a 0 run. Now, if there is a field of 32 cars or more that show up to an event, and someone does get a double 0, let's say, on their qualifying run, so 2 0 qualifying runs, they are knocked out and not in the show, as you would call it. It starts out with a field of 32 drivers that have qualified in the 1 to 32 spot and is done in a traditional 32 seed bracket going from 32, 16, 8, 4, and then the final pair would be able to duke it out for the win. Now, how does the drifting happen? So, let's say the number 1 driver would go up against the 32 driver when it comes to competition. Once the flagger drops their arms, the lead driver would then take off with the follow driver in tow, and then the lead driver would initiate their first corner and then start to drift. The job of the lead driver is to be able to make sure that they hit all of the zones properly, are able to give a quote-unquote chaseable run that is not sloppy and in any ways without fluidity and commitment, as spoken of before, still in angle and following the race line, and then be able to complete the course as such without going off course or coming out of drift. The purpose of the chase driver in this case would be to mimic the lead driver's line with full commitment to both angle and line. Now, if the lead driver were to be able to go offline a little bit and the follow driver followed the lead driver as such, points would not be deducted from the follow driver as they were doing their job. As long as the follow driver does not disrupt the lead driver's line, whereas contact is made or cutting the line, so to speak, to be able to keep proximity with the lead driver, the follow driver would be able to get points. A lead run is then swapped for the follow position, so the 32nd seated driver would then be leading the number 1 seated driver, and then they would go through the course as well. At the completion of both 2 lead and 2 follow runs from each driver, they would then go to the start-finish line, and then the 3 judges that have watched both runs would be able to give their verdict with at least a 2-to-1 majority. The only caveat to this is that both drivers perform so similarly in both their lead and follow runs, then they would be declared what is called a one more time. This means that both drivers would have to redo what they had just did. Both of them would have to do a lead and a follow run in the same order. They would be given a chance to change out their tires after this in order to be able to perform this event on a fresh set of tires. With that being said, Catch My Drift does have a very strict petition process to be able to make sure that all of the guidelines are followed, the rule book, and the judges are able to come to a firm decision on the protest. We want to be able to shout out MBK Productions to be able to offer not just drone footage, but multiple camera footage angles to be able to make sure this is a properly judged and viewed event to be able to seen not by our judges, but on a live stream on multiple viewing platforms. Some of the biggest differences between this competition and the Pro Series in America, Formula Drift, are that there are no strict regulations on tire size, build and power levels, as well as certain pieces of the car that need to stay either stock or modified to be able to participate in classes at the pro levels. While safety is still the number one factor here, they need to be able to have fire extinguishers, battery tie downs, proper seats, harnesses, and all factory equipment in place if it was meant to be there without having an aftermarket equivalent to be able to meet or exceed those safety recommendations. Some of the big things too is the incentive for drivers to participate in this 4-round series was to purchase a season pass before the season had started. If they were to do that, not only would they save money on all 4 rounds, but they would also have a chance to be able to get series points. With that being said, each driver, wherever they place in the 1 to 32 standings for each event, would accumulate series points to where at the end, the top 3 drivers would also take home winnings and prizes, be tires or seats or harnesses or other things that are being offered through the series. This series is being sponsored by companies such as KBD Body Kits, Stage Wheels, Race Treads. They offer tires. We have other sponsors as well being able to offer a number of things to be able to have to where the prize money and prizes offered are totaling over $50,000 for this year. This is the 3rd year of this event series happening, and with a full field of at least 32 drivers holding a series pass this year, it is no doubt that we're going to be able to see some fantastic driving as well as some stuff that you would not want to miss at Southern National Motorsports Park.